Welcome to this week's edition of the CEO Show. My name's Sri Lanka, and tonight we're going to be talking about COVID-19 and how our leaders in this nation of ours responded to the situation. I have with me today the pleasure of speaking with Shardha Sosa. He is the Director of Finance at Forbes and Walker. Thank you for joining us on the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Well, obviously, it's been a few months now since the pandemic first hit Sri Lanka as well as the rest of the world. The process that we went through was quite extensive in terms of an island wide shutdown, a curfew to ensure that people took it seriously. What were your first thoughts when you heard about the global pandemic?
Well, initially, as it started out, it was a belief whether it would be something that would be contained in China and that region, like what happened with SARS and some other previous kind of epidemics, but it really didn't go global. So
Yeah.
we all thought that it would end there, and then as it went along, it did appear to be getting kind of out of control, and that's the first indication. But what really surprised me personally was the fact that we didn't get it from China, but it went from China to Europe and then came from Italy or Germany to us. So
Yeah, it was quite dramatic how it did spread, and very subtly how it entered our country. When the first case cropped up, I'm sure it was quite a shock for yourself and everyone.
yeah, particularly, yeah, when you say the first case, the Chinese lady was fine. I think not fine, but it was expected. But
Yeah,
the way the next few happened, the Italian tourist, the tour guide, the way that came through, it was really a surprise.
exactly. Yes. How did you respond when the lockdown happened? Was it easy to merge your personal and your professional life from home? How did you find that change of circumstances?
Yeah, personally, I was well prepared. Probably 90% of the credit goes to my wife because she was like well stocked up, probably anticipated everything that needed to happen. Um, Foodstuffs, everything was fine. So I didn't have much worry on that side. Um, but on the professional, on the business side, the tea industry uh, is usually a little slow to adapt to technology and to new thinking. But quite surprisingly, uh, in this instance, the tea industry is probably the only industry that really took on the challenge and went digital, went took the technology on, used everything possible within our resources to not stop the economy.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Can you explain? Can you
yeah,
elaborate, like in
yeah.
terms of what?
Usually, tea is sold from the producers, from the plantations, on a weekly basis,
Mhm.
and a lot of it is physical. The goods need to come from the estate to Colombo. There's a physical auction of tea that takes place
Right.
on 2 days of the week, and there is a lot of physical interaction. The tasting of the tea has to happen, the grading, all that. Whereas once this happened, everything would normally have come to a grinding halt.
Sure.
Yeah, and it did come to a halt in a way, but it was just for 2 weeks. Just the
Okay.
Yeah, just the first week we didn't have the country shut down on a Thursday. The
Yes.
following Tuesday, Wednesday, we couldn't have the auction.
Right.
um, and 2 weeks on, the first week in April, the auctions were back on track.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was entirely done online digitally. And usually there's a break for the Sinhalese New Year, the Aurudu. Uh, we didn't take that break, so that of the 2 weeks that were lost, 1 week was anyway caught up in that week,
Right.
and
Right.
things were speeded up, and everything was back to normal. Yeah, it was absolutely back to normal.
That's tremendous. Excellent. Good to know. I didn't actually know that that was the case. So, congratulations to you and your team. That's fabulous. And tea being such an important um, sector in terms of the economy in Sri Lanka. I'm sure that the country is going to benefit because of your diligence and
Yeah,
determination.
absolutely. Because tea, in terms of GDP, okay, we are contributing only like 1.5 billion in terms of the dollar value, but the impact it has in touching the lives of people is it's far greater than any other industry. Like there
Most
are
definitely.
literally about 3 million people living off the industry, whether it's the plantation worker to the the tea smallholders who grow their tea, and all of them were not left high and dry. Uh, Within the first week, all their payments went through from the exporter towards the broker, from us to the plantation company or to the tea factory owner. So the even though the country locked down,
Right.
we did manage to get our payments through. So there again, the banks' online platforms were used extensively. And what was nice about it is that we had planned some of these things over maybe the last 1 year or so, but
Right.
never
Okay.
really got down to doing it.
Right.
It was just postponed, yeah, we'll sign the check, we'll do it next week, and it went on.
Hmm.
And the COVID-19 and the whole situation just forced us to get on it and
Right.
act and get it done and
Implement.
finished. Yeah. So that
Oh,
that's that was really the good part of the COVID-19 for
fantastic.
us.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations. That's a big deal considering, I've spoken to quite a few individuals now, and it's heartbreaking to see, how businesses have been impacted in a negative way over this duration. So hats off to you. That's fabulous. Really good. And for the people that work in the industry too, I'm sure a huge peace of mind, that your actions have allowed them to have. So that's wonderful. Congratulations. Tell me now, post curfew, obviously you didn't actually stop. And so, things were pretty normal. Did you see anything that you would like to mention after the curfew lifted and the country returned back to normal? Was there anything different that you noticed coming back to that normal momentum?
Yeah, I would say it's still not really normal.
Hmm.
When I look at it from the outside, the nice part of it was the lack of traffic on the road, which is gradually going away.
Yes,
Um, I used to take, because anyway tea was declared essential service, so we did travel to office off and on wherever
right.
necessary. So and my travel time, which used to be like 20 minutes at that time, has now gone up to about 35 minutes. So
Oh dear.
that's the bad part of it. But
Yeah,
but the good part is that we are definitely going to keep the the parts, the digital, the online auction will continue. There
right.
will be no more open outcry thing where 300-400 people come to a room and start bidding for tea and stuff like that. So that's out. It's definitely online.
Right.
All payments, from the buyers to the broker to the producer, everything which went online will remain online.
Excellent.
And that we realize further that it has enabled us to meet our clients more, travel a bit more frequently, because
Mm,
we don't need to be in office to sign a check or something like that. Like, in fact, when you
right.
first called me on that Friday, right, I was out of Colombo on
Right.
work, and then
Yes.
shortly after, somebody called and said there are a few payments. I just pulled over on the side, logged in on my tab, authorized the payments, and I was off again. So yeah, so those are the
Mm,
important lessons that we've learned, and I think we need to keep those and
right. Yeah.
continue this digital momentum that we've gained.
That's wonderful. I mean, it's proof that it is possible to be more productive and more profitable, So, I mean, it very distinctly put on show that this is actually what happens when you make that step to digitalize the entire company. So, I guess the positive of COVID-19 was most definitely that we took a huge step forward in making those changes.
Yeah,
So, yes.
definitely profitable in two ways. Again, there was a belief that tea was kind of a antidote for against the coronavirus, and
Yes.
So lots of people drank tea, and there was a huge demand for tea. And as a result, we found that shipments were which were like kind of slowing down before COVID really
Okay.
picked up, and people were a lot of the exporters there saw a lot of demand. So tea prices really went through the roof uh,
Really? Oh,
during the
right.
period and even post COVID. So I'm sure the plantation companies which were struggling up to that point are really breathing a huge sigh of relief with this.
Good.
And cost wise also, we've seen um, costs coming down with the digital movement. The the obvious costs like things like traveling. So going from even the head office to the estate, all of that is now done less physically and more through remote methods.
Right.
So all of that will reduce their costs,
Mm.
including ours. And so it's a case of the top line increase because the prices increase,
Mm-hmm.
and some of your costs were controlled because of the less travel involved.
Right.
And we are also taking this forward, like we are eliminating the use of paper wherever possible.
Okay.
So so account sales and contracts that used to be sent manually
Right.
via the old postal system is
Yes.
now being converted entirely to PDF and digital,
Very
and
good.
it's
Okay.
emailed. And
Right.
probably, and I must say this, yesterday I got something from Dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
uh, a document which the Inland Revenue Department had issued to them, saying that they can now issue all invoices digitally, which I thought was great. And I didn't know there was
Yeah.
such a scheme.
Mm.
And I've immediately told our guys also that we need to talk to the Inland Revenue. And so we'll not be producing any more
The paper
invoices,
trail. Mm.
paper-based things, PDF, and then email it across. And then they do the payment online. We do it online. So hopefully we'll see a benefit even to the environment.
Most definitely. Well, it's very exciting actually. This conversation is definitely a hopeful one, where so much negativity has surrounded us. It sounds like you all have experienced an incredibly positive turnaround in a very short time because of the situation, but it's working out for your good. So that's a good thing. That's fantastic. Tell me, I'm not looking for anything statistical or anything that's based on hard evidence, but when you think about the situation, the economy in Sri Lanka has very obviously been affected. What sort of timeline do you think we're looking at for a full recovery?
Honestly, I think, uh, yeah, this is my belief. Uh, the problems of Sri Lanka, the economic problems were not COVID related. It was something that was happening well before that. So,
Okay.
so I honestly believe that the COVID-19, the pandemic, was a benefit to the country. Uh, and as I said, the tea industry definitely COVID-19 helped us. There's no doubt about it. Um, Agriculture in general was helped because besides tea, the next biggest, okay, other than paddy, of course, which is internal, was rubber.
Mm-hmm.
And again, big demand for rubber, um, for the latex gloves and the PPE.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So the rubber plantations also started to pick up. Of course, it has stagnated a little bit due to the decline in oil prices, but it's kind of okay. So I think the tea rubber plantation economy definitely, which was in the doldrums before, will be out. And then apparel, which is the big one, I
Mm-hmm.
think the impact is not as great as it was originally thought to be,
Right.
because I personally believe that most of the companies are doing okay with the PPE and the glove orders that some of our big rubber glove manufacturers have got.
Sure.
So that should be okay. It will be lower than what it was, but it's not going to be a complete disaster, I think.
Mental. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So the problem sector would be the tourism.
Right.
Yeah, and that of course would be a problem. And yeah, so they'll need to survive at least till uh, winter next year before they can say they are fine. So that's
Back to
probably
normal.
looking at 1 year from now for the tourism sector.
Okay.
But as a
Well,
country in general, I think it will be just this year. That's it.
okay. Okay. Well, Mr. Sosa, thank you so much for your time. It's been a very optimistic conversation, and it's actually left me feeling quite positive about the future compared to some of the conversations we've had. So I thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing. I'm sure that anyone who listens to this too will be given a glimmer of hope that it isn't as bad as media makes it out to be. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for
Thank you.
coming on the show.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for having me.
All right. Take care now.
Yeah, welcome.